What if I told you that what Ferrari has discovered after the Chinese GP could leave Mercedes on the ropes, even before the season progresses? Because yes, the W17 seems unstoppable. It dominates in a straight line, sweeps the hybrid deployment, and has turned key sectors into a constant humiliation for its rivals. But what no one is telling you completely clearly is that this performance has begun to raise very serious suspicions within the paddock. Ferrari has already identified where the real difference is, and it's not just speed. It is something much deeper. Something that could be at the limit of the regulations. And if this is confirmed, Mercedes would go from being the perfect team to being at the center of the greatest technical controversy of this new era. Mercedes arrived in China with the label of favorite, but left the circuit with something much more dangerous, the full attention of the paddock. Because what we saw in Shanghai was not a simple technical victory, it was a demonstration of superiority in one of the most sensitive areas of this new Formula One: energy management. And when a team dominates right there at the heart of the 2026 regulation, it automatically stops being just fast and becomes suspicious. From the first moment of the weekend, there were already clear signs. While other teams struggled to find the right window of tires, balance, and pace, Mercedes seemed to operate in another dimension. It wasn't just a matter of fast laps, it was the way they constructed those laps. Especially in the latter sector, where hybrid deployment defines everything, the W17 made differences that did not fit with a simple incremental improvement. We are talking about several tenths gained solely in the delivery of electrical power and its management, something that in theory should be much more equal between teams. And this is where the real problem begins. Because Ferrari, which is the first to try to decipher that performance, has found something disturbing. They are not losing just because of aerodynamics or because of chassis or even because of strategy. They are losing in the energy transition, in that perfect balance between combustion and electricity that defines this new era. While your car has peaks and dips, moments where the energy is not enough or is deployed irregularly, the Mercedes seems to have no interruptions, as if its delivery were completely flat, constant, almost perfect. And in Formula One, when something seems perfect, it is rarely so by chance. This completely changes the reading of the championship. Because until now, many thought that Mercedes had simply done its homework better. But what Ferrari is beginning to hint at is something else, that the W17 is not only fast, but has found a way to exploit the regulations that others have not yet understood. And that opens a very dangerous door, that of borderline interpretations. Within the paddock, we no longer talk only about performance. There is talk of gray zones, of possible solutions that, without being directly illegal, could be bordering on what is permitted. Energy management systems that are more efficient than expected, configurations that optimize the famous 50-50 between thermal and electric motor in a way that others cannot replicate. And although there is no conclusive evidence, the simple fact that these conversations exist already puts Mercedes in an uncomfortable position. Because right now, every data on the W17 has a double reading. On the one hand, it is the most complete car on the grid. On the other hand, it is the car that everyone is looking at with a magnifying glass. And meanwhile, Ferrari has taken the first step in this silent battle. Not with a formal protest, not with a direct accusation, but with something much more powerful, pointing out exactly where the difference is. And when a rival identifies your strong point in Formula One, it's only a matter of time before they try to stop you. The big question is no longer whether Mercedes is the best. The real question is how long he can maintain this advantage before everyone else gets the trick, or before someone decides that trick goes too far. The Italian team has not only identified where it is losing, but has understood something even more important. They cannot replicate it in the short term. And that's what really sets off alarm bells. In Formula One, when you discover the rival's advantage but have no way to copy it quickly, you only have two options left: catch up in the long term or question it in the present. And everything indicates that Ferrari has already begun to move in that second direction. Inside the paddock, conversations have completely changed after China. We no longer only talk about Mercedes' dominance, but about how they are achieving it. Engineers, analysts, and even figures historically linked to Ferrari are beginning to slip a very specific idea. The W17 is not only efficient, it is too efficient at key moments where the regulations should limit precisely that, especially in energy deployment. Because here is the core of the conflict. The 2026 regulation is designed to force a very clear balance between the combustion engine and the electrical system. A 50-50 that, in theory, should generate compromises, losses, moments where the pilot does not have all the power available. But in the case of Mercedes, that problem simply does not appear. The car always pushes at all times without visible drops, without apparent limitations, as if it had eliminated one of the most important restrictions in the regulations. And that is not only an advantage, it's an anomaly. Ferrari knows this, and that is why its reading goes beyond performance. What they are beginning to hint at is that Mercedes might have found a way to optimize energy recovery and deployment in a way that borders on what is permitted. Not necessarily illegal, but borderline enough to force the FIA to take a closer look. And this is where the story escalates, because when a team starts to suspect, they don't stay silent. Technical questions, indirect reviews, telemetry comparisons, cross-analyses begin. And above all, media pressure. The one that is already beginning to build a dangerous narrative, that of a Mercedes that is too perfect in an area where no one should be. Meanwhile, Mercedes remains silent. And that silence also says a lot. Because there are no detailed explanations, there are no public technical answers that dismantle suspicions. Only results. Domain only. Only laps where the W17 seems to play in another league. And in Formula One, when a team responds only on the track while the rest start asking questions, the story always ends up growing. Ferrari, for its part, does not need to accuse directly. One thing is enough for him, to make it clear that the difference is not normal. And that, in a sport where every thousandth is regulated, is enough to start a chain reaction. Because now the pressure is no longer on catching up with Mercedes. The pressure is to prove that everything they are doing really falls within the rules. Because when we get to this point in the story, it's no longer just about whether Mercedes is the best car. It's about something much bigger, whether this domain is going to be officially accepted or questioned. Ferrari has already made its move. Not directly, not with a public protest, but with something much more dangerous within Formula One, putting the focus exactly on the area where Mercedes is untouchable. And when that happens, the next step is almost always the same: FIA intervention. Because right now there is a clear feeling within the paddock. If no one understands how the W17 achieves that perfect energy efficiency, someone is going to start investigating it. And that's where Mercedes enters uncharted territory. Until now, they have played the role of the perfect team. They have dominated, they have executed better than anyone else, and they have built a seemingly unbeatable lead. But the history of Formula One has taught us something time and again. When a team gets too far ahead of the rest, the regulations always end up catching up. The big threat to Mercedes is not Ferrari on the track. It's Ferrari out of it. Because if the Italian team gets the FIA to review those gray areas, if it gets certain interpretations of the regulations clarified, then the W17 could lose exactly what makes it invincible. And at that moment, the entire hierarchy could change at once. And the most interesting thing is that this does not need a sanction. Just needs a technical clarification. You just need a directive. It just needs that what is legal today stops being so tomorrow. Meanwhile, the championship continues to advance, but with a tension that goes far beyond the track. Each race is no longer just a fight for points. It is an accumulation of evidence, data, comparisons that can end up building a case. Mercedes dominates, yes, but right now he dominates under suspicion. And that completely changes the game. Because if Ferrari is right, we are facing the beginning of a technical war that can redefine the entire season. And if it doesn't, then we are seeing the birth of one of the greatest technical advantages in the recent history of Formula One. The final question is no longer who is faster. The question is, what is Mercedes really doing that no one else can do? And when it seemed that everything was already on the table, a fourth act appears that changes everything: the consequences. Because what has been unleashed after China is not a simple passing suspicion. It is the beginning of a chain reaction that can directly affect the development of all the teams, and especially the immediate future of Mercedes. Ferrari has already led the way. And when a team like Ferrari identifies a possible gray area, it doesn't stop there. The silent work begins: internal meetings, data comparisons, indirect pressure, and above all, preparing the ground to force the regulations to be clarified. Because that's the real goal here. It's not copying Mercedes, it's taking away its advantage. And that puts the W17 in an extremely delicate situation. Because now every update that Mercedes brings will be observed with a magnifying glass. Every improvement will be questioned. Each evolution will have to fit not only into performance, but into a narrative where they are already under suspicion. And this has a brutal effect on Formula One. It conditions development. While other teams evolve to be faster, Mercedes now has to evolve without attracting attention. And that is a huge disadvantage. Additionally, there is a factor that many are overlooking: time. Ferrari may not have the technical solution right now to match that energy management, but it does have something just as powerful: the ability to influence the direction of the regulations. And if they get the FIA to intervene, even minimally, they could cut Mercedes' advantage without needing to catch them on the track. This has happened before. Dominant teams that seemed untouchable, held back not by their rivals, but by a reinterpretation of the rules. And that is exactly what is beginning to be smelled in the air after China. Meanwhile, within Mercedes, the situation is also changing. Because dominating is one thing, defending that dominance is another entirely. Now they not only have to be fast, they have to be impeccable. They cannot allow errors, neither technical, nor strategic, nor communicative. Any failure, any inconsistency will fuel even more doubts. And that adds an invisible, but constant pressure. The W17 is still the best car. And in the end, it all comes down to a single uncomfortable reality that no one in the paddock wants to say openly, but that everyone is already beginning to accept. Mercedes has not only won in China, it has changed the rules of the game. Because when a team achieves such a specific advantage so located in the heart of the regulations, we are no longer talking about evolution. We are talking about total understanding. Of having found that exact point where performance and legality intersect, and where the rest still don't even know how to look. Ferrari has seen it. He has understood it. And he dropped it. And that's what makes this story much bigger than just a track battle. From now on, each race will not only be a fight for victory, it will be a real-time investigation. Every sector, every data, every W17 energy deployment will be analyzed, questioned, and compared. Because when you point out the leader, there is no turning back. The pressure is on Mercedes. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.